Richie, your overview first.
I thought it was a really brave challenge from Yarde. My biggest fear was Kovalev establishing that jab, which he did. We pointed it out at the start, that jab to the body. They're sickening body shots, they really are. I think for the first time, Yarde was up against someone who out-jabbed him. You know, he was trying to get close. He knew he had to try and get close to land the bigger shots, but by doing that, he was just getting caught with straight punches. Basic stuff from Kovalev. But having said that, I thought, because of the lack of experience in this type of contest, Yarde threw everything into that 7th round. I think he threw the kitchen sink at him, and he probably just ran out of steam a little bit. But the thing is, Paul, these fellas will tell you, when you keep taking punches on the chin, bit by bit, someone picking away at you all the time with those jabs, those straight right hands, in the end, they take their toll. And that's what happened there. He just ran out of steam a little bit. And it's probably down to a lack of experience, but a great effort.
Were you getting your hopes up, David?
I was. Even in the earlier rounds, which he was losing, he still held his form. His timing was good, his rhythm was good, he was still walking forward. He was showing me all the signs you would expect from someone who's on the verge of springing a big combination. And that combination did come in, I think it was the 8th round. He really did put it on Sergey, and I thought he was winning the fight. I thought, you know, that was it. He'd been waiting those 7 rounds to then turn it on in the 8th, and
8th, yeah.
It was just unfortunate that he couldn't reload after shipping so much energy and so much ferocity in that one round. He wasn't able to reload. The minute wasn't enough for him to fully recover, to go back out in round 9 and maintain the attack. And that only comes from experience. He now knows in round 8 you can't empty the kitchen sink. Or maybe he's got to adjust some of his training. Maybe he's got to have harder spars, replicate the feeling he had there in round 5, 6, 7 and 8 in training. It's not nice, it's not comfortable, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of when Anthony Joshua was taking some shots from in his heavyweight title, his only loss he's had, and it was Ruiz kept the pressure on him. He didn't seem like he could recover and get his second wind. That's all it seemed to be. The jabs to the body was key for Kovalev, and wasn't allowing Yarde to recover.
You think, despite what Anthony told us, David, he I wouldn't say he was getting demoralised at this point in the fight, but he may have said, "Oh, I get it now. I get what world class is all about."
You don't know what it is to dig deep. You don't know what it is to come back from behind until you've done that. It's all good and well saying you can, but until you've done it, you don't know.
You were on your feet here, David.
I was on my feet. I was going crazy. I was going absolutely crazy. I thought this was it. I thought he'd been playing possum for the first 7 rounds, and then all of a sudden he sprang into action here. But you know, after that 8th round, he just wasn't able to reload, and he started walking down, taking way more punches than he was in the early rounds. His defence. It's not like you forget how to slip punches. You just don't have the energy to slip the punches or block the punches. You know, it's not like he didn't want to do that. Nobody wants to get hit, but after a while, these little shots that don't look like much, these little shots, they take it out of you. They really weaken your legs. I think there was an argument at that point. He could have been pulled out of the fight, but then he would have known. I know what it's like as a fighter. I got pulled out of a fight. My first loss went very similar to this. I was doing very well, and then against Carl Thompson. And then that's it, I ran out of steam, and he turned it on me. Fortunately, Adam Booth threw the towel, and at the time I was gutted. I really wanted to continue, but rewatching the fight, clearly there wasn't much left in the tank. But 4 years later, I'm undisputed champion. So sometimes it takes a loss like that, a demoralising loss where everyone goes, you're finished, it's no good. I had the same thing. Everyone said I was a hype job. I had 10 fights in a row, 10 knockouts. My 11th fight, it all fell apart. So I was able to learn from that loss and become the fighter I am and was. And I believe he showed all of the ingredients that you would require in a world champion. He showed heart, showed chin, speed, power. There was not anything he didn't show there. He just didn't know how to put it all together in a 12-round fight. Because he hasn't fought a 12-round fight before.
Indeed. Richie, did that little purple patch that he had in round 8, did that send out a message in terms of at least his destructive punching power? Yarde is now absolutely rated.
Yes,
in
I mean,
world class.
I think he hurt Kovalev here 2 or 3 times to the body and to the head, and we thought that he was going to actually do it here. But Kovalev, you know, he's very experienced. He weathered the storm. He got through it. But I think Anthony, with the inexperience, he threw everything into this round and just couldn't recover, couldn't get to this level again. But you know what, Paul? Throughout this contest, what's happened here is Anthony Yarde has had 18 contests before this where he's walked forward and he hasn't really got caught. He's controlled things, and that's probably let him down tonight because he's been walking forward and eventually he's just taken too many shots. I think all those little punches that David's been talking about, that catching him, eventually they've took their toll, and that's what tires you out. It's not only your work rate, it's receiving blows also. And at the end, it was just a little bit too much. But answering your question, round 8, a fantastic round, gives out a great message. That kid will be a world champion.
Anthony Yarde, for me, covered himself in glory tonight. He said he was embarrassed. He got nothing to be embarrassed about. He will learn, he will adjust, hopefully, and he will come back stronger.
I think he'll review that fight, and he'll realise the difference in the 8th round where he had the most success. He needs to train like he fought in that round. The intensity that he was punching.
Is it in him, David?
He showed it was in him. It was there. It was clearly in him. He just needs to be able to do that for a minute of every round. That intensity that he fought then, he needs to be able to do that for a minute of every round to win the round.
So they will have to adjust the training
but they don't know.
They don't.
He was able to. What he was doing in the first few rounds of Kovalev was good enough to beat the level of calibre of opposition he was fighting up until this point. Now he realised that's not enough. Mm-hmm. What I did in the 8th round, that's more like what I need to do. So give me a minute of that intensity every round for 12 rounds and I'll show you a world champion.
I think the good thing also, he's in against a fighter who is the very, very best at boxing at distance. Yeah. Judgment of distance, that jab to the body, breaking the opponent down. Now Anthony Yarde knows what he's got to do to get to the opponent a little bit better. There would have been other champions there who he might have boxed, Bivol, Gvozdyk, where he might have actually got to them a little bit more. But Kovalev boxed a clever contest, boxed at range, and he was sensible.
Just running a little bit short of time, is actually how does Frank Warren manoeuvre Yarde back toward any of these guys who've seen him in Russia tonight?
Listen, Enzo, you know yourself, when you get beat, opportunities come up for you more than ever. There's always a question mark over an undefeated fighter, but when boxers get beat, they get opportunities.
And to be honest, it's the performance as well.
Yeah.
You know, looks like Vodich, Bivol, Berbatov, or they fighting in Vodich, Berbatov. They look at that fight, they would probably think, I would like to do a better job on Kovalev. Yeah. So, you know, get Anthony Yarde one more fight. He performed very well. And I'm sure something will come up. But I would like to see him at British level. I'd like to see him at European level, just to get that experience before he jumps back in again.
Let's look to the future with Anthony Yarde. What should be the first move?
I think he has a massive future. A good rest, obviously. Regroup, get back into the gym, have a look at the tape for once and see where he went wrong, get back to the drawing board. I think he will put it right, and I see a bright future. I agree with Enzo. Maybe go for the European title, get a couple of 10-rounders under his belt, a bit more experience, and then go for the big one again.